This is the theme of Setback and Misery. Paul begins his mask select frames. So then Annie, of course, hears the helicopter and she goes to the window. And there's a lot that she says here. She says, I think the winters are getting shorter. What do you think? And of course, Paul doesn't say anything because, after all, he just had to burn his book. And it's interesting how the director has Annie insert um, little conversations and narratives about her life, sort of puzzle pieces. But here it is. She just had him to burn his book, but she's having a normal conversation as if she didn't have him burn his book. And if we were on, if we were in the courthouse and on the witness stand, and the prosecution was sort of accusing Annie of sort of, doing what she did to him, she would kind of have cognitive dissonance about it. Like the person who does something, but they tend to, distance themselves or himself or herself as if they just didn't do that very thing. And that's what she's kind of doing here when she inserts these little conversations that she's having about the winters getting shorter. What does that have to do with anything in terms of her just having him to burn his book? And she's not calling attention to the fact that there's a helicopter flying in the air still looking for Paul Sheldon. Even Buster notices that that's the Wilkes farm. So he knows all of the people in town. He knows all of the different houses. He knows everything. And so it's funny that he knows everything, but it's like Annie doesn't know the fact that he knows everything, in the sense that he's the sheriff. And so if he's flying in the air like that, there's a reason for it. Right, there's a reason for it. But again, it's to, kind of distract us, cause us to scratch our head when she inserts these little conversations that she has, little questions or whatever. And Paul Sheldon doesn't really respond, and and she kind of goes about her way as if nothing just happened, as if there wasn't a fire in this room, as if she didn't have to go get a pail of water to extinguish the fire, as if there wasn't any real danger. It's almost like it's, no, whatever just happened really did not happen. And so Paul notices the helicopter, and you see his facial features, wondering about what's out there. And so, it's interesting how something can be in your, you can be so close to something, close to freedom, close to getting out, escaping or whatever, and it can be in your grasp, but you can't even grasp it. Right, that he's in a bit of a prison here. And Annie is going, and Annie is the warden who's going to correct him, because in her mind, if he's killing off Misery Chastain, then he has to be punished, and after punishment, of course, comes pain and then correction. Right, you got to be corrected from your bad thinking. That book that you wrote that I just had you to burn, that's bad thinking. It's not noble enough. It's of lower value than you. And that's something to think about in terms of Annie, because so she's giving it so much credence that even Paul Sheldon cannot see just how higher level the writing is. Right, but who is Annie to judge, because she's only been exposed to his Misery series. She hasn't been exposed to any other serious work of his, right? But Annie considers it serious. And I just thought it was interesting how he's looking towards the window, looking at, and you get this huge, beautiful view outside, but he can't go outside. And it's kind of interesting that when you parallel it to his desire to get out of the misery writing business, for which he probably felt he was bound and imprisoned or something like that, and that in writing the book is like looking outside and wanting to escape, but can't quite escape, can't leave, right? And so when he decides to come to Colorado and stay in that cabin and write this book, it was him forcing his escape by any means necessary. He was going to leave. Of course, he is set back. So then Annie asks that question, and then he doesn't give her really an answer, and then she goes on ahead and leaves. And there's a lot going on in Annie's eyes, you know. There's a lot of pain going on in Annie's eyes. We don't get her story. We get parts of her story through maybe a mini monologue, but it isn't until he goes and travels outside of the room, and he sees her open portfolio book, photo album, that we get to read Annie through all of the newspaper clippings that she has saved. That is our way of reading Annie. And then just, you can't even give it words, you know. The picture is enough. The way he looks, right, is enough. And it's one of those people, it's one of those times when you experience another setback and another setback and another setback, and it just doesn't seem like you are ever going to get out of your setback. And his true setback right here for right now is his recovery. I mean, his the crash, the effects of the crash. But now that's physical. But now he has to think about the mental and psychological setback he is now going to experience as a result of having to burn his book. All of that work in 6 weeks, all of that work, writing that book, taking time to think about the idea, journaling some ideas, jotting down notes, creating the outline, scratching the outline, starting the draft, scratching the draft, eating, sleeping, maybe doing some push-ups or something like that, going around the cabin and walking a bit or something. Just all of that work, 6 weeks of work, just flames. Just absolutely not like the house burnt down and you lost the work or whatever. You had to take a match to your own work, and that was by force, right? Otherwise she was gonna burn you up. And but that face is just enough. I mean, how many times have we all experienced this face? There's a face that we all have when it's like just setback after setback. It just seems like it's never going to end. And to me, this is what he's feeling. And this is where you get a chance to begin to dream outside of your setback. So the dream that he had for the book, he's going to have to let that go for right now, right? But now his new goal, because he felt like he finished his goal in writing the book. So now his new goal is not only recovery from where he is, but his new, I mean, I say it like this: his immediate goal was recovery, right? Because who wants to lie down in a bed and be in pain and everything, right? But then his new goal is escape. Once she dropped that soup on the bed and said, look at what you made me do, he immediately thought about escaping. And the question he asked at the beginning, why am I not in a hospital, is already a precursor to thinking about escaping or whatever. But you wouldn't call it an escape. You would call it, I need to get better and get well in a hospital. But this face here says a lot. So now she gives him the 2 red pills, and she's taking the matchbox, and his face is just stone faced. What else can you do? She sort of cut off his voice, his voice through his books mattered. And so in taking away that book like that, having him to burn his book is cutting off that voice. So here it is. She's taking the matchbox, right? Because she doesn't want him to get any ideas. That's why I say Annie is not all that crazy. She plays crazy. She's not all that crazy. She knows that if he keeps that matchbox, he can burn down the house. And then now the pills take on a whole new concept now, right? That the pills were used initially to help him for his pain, right? His physical pain. Okay, that's what she gave the pills for. And then he started to hide them under the bed, right? But now the pills have shifted in purpose for the narrative, and it's implicit. The pain was for the body and the damage, but now the pain is for the heart and the emotions. And I think that's how sometimes people get addicted to painkillers, because the pain is supposed to serve a purpose to sort of help the body heal, or sort of numb that part of your body that is hurting, right? And give you time to rest so you can heal. Okay, but we oftentimes move into using the pills to help us in other areas where the pills are not supposed to help us, and that's in the heart and the emotions. I remember a time, and I use this analogy a lot of times in many of my audios and other ways, but I had to go to the dentist to get wisdom teeth out and just other stuff that had to happen at that time. And so after the dentist, I was in a lot of pain. And the dentist gave me hydrocodone. So I took them, and I took the first dose, and it put me to sleep. But then when I would wake up, I noticed that I couldn't really see my hand. You know, it was just strange. I've never been much for pills. The only time I take pills it will be Aleve, and that's for a headache or any other type of bodily issue. But I haven't been much for pills. And now, if I have to take antibiotics for something that's an infection or whatever, I take the whole dosage, right? But other than that, I'm not much for pills. But I noticed that. And so then, okay. And then also I got up in pain again. I'm like, okay, I thought the pills were supposed to be helping. And I was anxious to, who wants to be in pain? And then I took another dose of pills. And I can't remember if it was just one pill or two pills every whatever hours or something. I can't remember. That's been so long ago. That happened in, 2006. And this is 2021. And I woke up the same way. I could barely get up. It just, I didn't like the fact that I couldn't see my hand. I was foggy, and I didn't know what was going on. And it's a good thing that I didn't leave my house, and so I noticed that it wasn't helping. And so then I always remember people, I just always had an understanding about stuff. I always remembered hearing about people getting addicted to pills and things like that. And I didn't know the full strength of hydrocodone and the implications and how you can get addicted to them. I didn't know all of that. I just remember hearing about people getting addicted to pills and drugs, and I didn't like that. And so I think I took one more dose, and then I realized I still was in pain, and I still couldn't see my hand. And after that, I said, you know what, I'm not taking these anymore. And so I got the whole pill bottle minus the dosage that I took and poured it down the toilet and flushed the toilet, because I was not going to get addicted. So then I was still in pain, and I had to go find ways to numb my pain. And then I went to the doctor again, to the dentist again. She did something. I don't know what she did. And then I went to the store and got some Neosporin or something, not Neosporin, whatever you can put in your mouth to numb your pain. And then I got some cotton balls or things like that. But I say all that to say that it's a good thing that I let go of those pills, because they could have turned into some mess, because I was in pain in other areas of my life that I didn't even really tap into. And that had I stayed long enough and taken those pills, the purpose of the pills would have the purpose of taking the pills would have shifted from trying to heal the body and heal the damage, because even though the pills were not helping the pain, they were helping me go to sleep. And maybe if I would have focused on that, then eventually I wouldn't have paid so much attention to the pain. But I'm still glad that I threw them away, because there were other issues going on in my life that I did not really tap into being aware of and taking the time to reflect on. And that eventually it would have, me taking the pills would have shifted to taking them for those reasons, because that pain, and it would have been unconscious, right? Because we don't think that we're taking pills to numb our emotional pain. We usually use food for that, you know. And even then we would never say, oh, I'm using this food to numb my pain. It's just something that we grab when we are in pain. Some people grab sex, some people grab liquor, some people grab smoking, some people grab actual pills, some people can get go to the extreme in exercise and things like that. It's the first thing we grab. And that's what I was worried about. Even if I didn't have a full sense of it, even if I didn't understand everything, all I just remembered was people getting addicted to pills, and that was enough for me. So the pills have shifted. Now he's not going to take these pills anymore, because now he's critical of these pills. He's thinking about these pills that she gives him. And the pills are truly, this is probably the most true thing that Annie is doing for him, outside of cooking, outside of trying to repair his legs and things like that. This is probably the most true thing, that the pills are probably actually true pills, right? To solve the body pain and things like that. But he's now critical of it. So that means he is willing to endure the pain without taking the pills. Because if the pills are putting you to sleep, it's also, they're also dulling your senses. And when you come across threats and troubles and anything like that, you want to be awake. You want to be alert. And so now the pills for us, the audience, implicitly has changed in terms of its purpose, from solving or resolving body and damage to get to recovery, to now being used for heart and emotions, hurt and pain, due to him having to burn his book. Now Paul is operating from a true place of setback, meaning that he does not have the knowledge base concerning the efficacy of these pills, their true nature. He doesn't know what they are. He just knows that the casing is red and that the inner is white, but he doesn't know anything. He has no book of like a collection of different types of medicine. He doesn't have that. And Annie only says, when he asked about them, she said it's for your pain. Okay, so he does have some knowledge about it, right? That it's for his pain. We don't know. We don't know if they are effective, because Paul doesn't say, "Oh, these are helping me for my pain," right? He doesn't say that. We do know that they are not dangerous, in the sense that he wakes up every day. So he is in certain ways collecting, data on these pills by having to take them, right? But something about the pills now, and it's really not about the pills, because he doesn't know the pills. The pills represent Annie. And so there's something about the pills now that he is suspicious of, and that he's not going to continue taking them. But it's not the pills per se, because the pills seem to work. He doesn't seem to cry out a lot anymore concerning his pain, like he did in the beginning, when he would have a little twitch of pain or something like that. It would be noticeable, and Annie would say, let me go on ahead and go get your pills, things like that, right? And so we don't hear him kind of crying out right now with these pills. So we know on some level they must be working for whatever purpose they serve. They're not dangerous to him. But the pills represent Annie, and he's basically making a decision to no longer take these pills, which really means that he's no longer going to take Annie. So I guess in some ways he's now going to put on a face. That I think this is when he decides to no longer take the pills, he's now putting on a mask. And that he will take the pills from her and pretend like he's taking them, but he's really not going to take them. Meaning that he's no longer going to take Annie's philosophies, ideologies, belief systems, thinking. I don't even know if he's going to take her at her word concerning being a nurse, even though she patched him up pretty well. And so the narrative shifts, and he's no longer accepting of Annie in the same way that she's no longer accepting of Paul. She don't care anything else about Paul other than to force him to write a new book so she can keep her misery. Right? So he can extend the life, reawaken Misery Chastain in the novel, which would reawaken Annie's heart concerning misery. But when he decides to hide these pills for now on, I think this is where the mask actually begins. That he's now going to put on an actor's face in front of Annie to keep himself alive. I don't know for certain if he believes that he's going to die, but she did say when she found out about the book and that he had killed off Misery Chastain, and she threw that little shelf at him, and that she didn't tell anybody that he was here, that if she dies, he dies. So again, that word is now entered the consciousness of Paul. And so he's beginning to hide these pills up under the mattress. And so, and this knowledge is not available to Annie, right? She's not going to find this out until much later. All right, like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more discussions. You can visit my YouTube channel for further film analysis. It's Favorites Film Analysis as the title of the channel. You can always send me an email and ask me a question, reginayfavorites@yahoo.com. My Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction book will become available around October 2021. I'm still doing some editing. The book does not focus on film analyses, but I use the content that I created for the book to support my my perceptions of setback used as a theme in select films. So when the book becomes available, I will send out a notification video, audio. Thank you very much for visiting the channel.